Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing the follow-up to Kobe Bryant's psychic reading. This is going to be the part 2. I ask that everyone please be very respectful in the comment section. I may just end up turning them off completely because of the sensitivity to the reading. Now, when I initially connected to this whole situation, I was very adamant, and if you haven't listened to part 1, you need to go ahead and listen to that before you listen to part 2. I was very adamant that a lot of psychics were claiming that they were talking to the soul of Gigi or to Kobe, and I was very adamant that I was not able to connect with Kobe, but rather my spirit guides and his spirit guides. And that's how I was leading the reading. And now I feel like it's a new chapter. It's like time. I feel like I can connect with him, and it's been a couple of months. And so now I'm back to do this reading, and I'm very excited to see what comes through. I feel his energy very much present. The first thing that I want to say is again, my heart goes out to Vanessa and the family, his friends, everybody that was a big fan of Kobe. We didn't just lose a brother. We lost an idol. We lost someone that was very important in this lifetime. I also want to say that when before I started doing this reading and actually talking into the microphone, I actually was getting psychic impressions and getting information from him on a mediumship level. So a lot of the stuff that I channel, I don't typically remember. But what I did get was that he kept telling me that there was a lot of spiritual warfare going on in this lifetime, and that we see it, and that I was right about a lot of the things that are happening with a lot of celebrities. The fact that, a lot of the people in Hollywood, in this, entertainment industry, in the sports area, a lot of them are led by the sins of the flesh, or they're led by a lot of darkness, not necessarily trying to turn this religious or not. But Kobe was on a light path. He was on a light worker path, and that's what his soul came down here to Earth to do. They came down to Earth, him and Gigi was born into his family, into this family, but they were actually old souls. Like, he was an old white man, is what I'm getting, in a past life, in another lifetime. And Gigi was a relative of his in that past life as well. I feel like she would have been almost like a cousin of his. But they went through something very traumatic in that lifetime, and it was almost like they had to escape danger and flee. And so there were like, I want to say like this was Europe in this past life that I tuned into Kobe and Gigi, and they were like the whole family had to flee because they were being persecuted. People in their village, people in their life that were being persecuted, including them, they were being targeted. So they had to leave. And they ended up finding them, and they ended up killing them as well. So they exited that past life very early on in their life. And when I say very early, I mean before their time. And they reincarnated into this lifetime. And Kobe's reincarnation was to be a teacher, and he was to be a teacher to the world. And people are listening like, what do you mean teacher to the world? I mean that he reincarnated in this lifetime because through his sports, through his, all his other endeavors, he was teaching everyone that they can reach their dreams, that if you have a thirst for playing in sports or, doing other things, branching out, that you don't have to be, because look at his life path. He wasn't just someone in the NBA. He wasn't just in basketball. He also delved into other business projects and music. He loved the music. So like, he was multi-talented, and that's what I'm trying to get across, is that he showed and paved the way for a lot of other basketball players who are out there right now who may have known him or looked up to him, or kids out out there right now that are in their teens and they are playing they want to play professional when they graduate high school and go into college. They want to have a career like Kobe. He served his purpose here on earth. I really do feel he served his purpose partially, but I'll explain, because I feel like a lot of the same people that were in a past life followed them into this lifetime, and they ended up plotting to take him out. Because what I get here was that he was a teacher, but there was a lot of people that were wanting to take from Kobe. They were trying to take his energy, take the happiness away from his family. Gigi, I'm going to stop right there and get into Gigi. Gigi, in this lifetime, chose him as her father figure for protection, because in the past life, she was not protected. He was not able to protect her, and they both ended up dying, like I said, being murdered. In this lifetime, she was born to him because she needed protection. She needed a soul that was like a fatherly energy, and there was no one better than to reincarnate within the same soul family. So a lot of time we see people that reincarnate within the same soul family. And I feel like she was also sent to Earth with a very vibrant and elevated consciousness. This girl was very, very and I will say is, because she's still in spirit and alive, and so is Kobe in spirit. But she was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Angelic, and she had this presence of her that just was like a natural born leader. And her career path, what they're showing me, was not going to be, everybody thinks that she was following in her daddy's footsteps and she was going to actually go into women's professional basketball and all of that. But spirit and their soul, I'm communicating with both of them right now. They're telling me something different. Again, I get that her path would have been more of the healer, and that she came into this family to hold them together as a glue, to heal the problems that maybe, the Vanessa and Bryant already had. Kobe had in some kind of way. There was already existing issues, but Gigi was the one that was going to hold this glue together and hold the family together. What they show me is that if she would have lived out her life and continued, she would have gone potentially into like healthcare and nursing and maybe even a doctor. Now, I don't know if she ever spoke to her parents about this kind of aspirations, but this is the path that she was meant to take, more of a healing path to help people and do like use her own healing abilities for that. But she was very enamored with Kobe's soul, and I do feel like it was his greatest wish for her in this lifetime to follow in his footsteps on some level. But again, I feel like also he had reservations about, not that because she's a female she couldn't do it, but because he knew already the ins and outs of this business, and he knew that think about it, in this world that we're in right now, with how men still dominate the NBA or the basketball. You don't see women in the in the actual immersed or mixed with men's basketball. They keep separate. So there's still like a lot of prejudice that women in the NBA, that they have their own teams, are facing till this day. And that's probably never going to change in this, lifetime right now. In the future, it will. But I do feel like in many ways he knew that she would encounter something. So I feel like, he supported her in everything that she did. But in some way, on some level, and maybe this was uncommunicated, he didn't want her to follow in that footstep. And what I get is that their love for each other was so strong. It was together, when people saw them together, they saw this beautiful angelic presence, and they were able to connect to the masses. Gigi was the divine feminine, and Kobe was the divine masculine. And so I feel like she was going to have like a very successful career in the future, is what I was being shown. But they both talk about darkness. They both talk about white men, and they both talk about people in the industry that wanted them out. I still stand true. I don't care what people say. People have, they've done research. They said there was no engine failure, but the fact of the matter was that the airplane stopped working. Helicopter, airplane, whatever you want to call it. I still call it airplane, but helicopter for those of you that are very picky. The helicopter itself, something in the engine was not right. Now, people will say, well, they did a research on that, but how can you determine if there was an engine failure if the engine falls and it impacts the ground? Think about it. But I know that a lot of people that are, into all of the automobiles or stuff like that are going to say the contrary, that there was no engine failure, that it was the mountain, blah, blah, blah. But I actually feel the plane was sabotaged, and I'm just going to stick to that. Like I've said, it was sabotaged. There was engine failure. They went out. The last moments of what I get was that Gigi was crying. I get that scene. I get that this is a very intense. A lot of the people were screaming. The other children, the women, everybody was screaming. There was a pandemonium. Kobe was trying to keep Gigi calm. Kobe was on his phone. I don't know if he was trying to get in contact, but there's something about the phone, something about one of them, like they could not get communication. Once the plane started going down, they all slid. I feel like there was this sliding motion. They may have been like ejected from their seat if they weren't strapped in this helicopter. I feel like there was this movement, a very big turbulence. People blame the people also speculated or blamed the actual pilot. I don't see that the pilot was in on this. This was not the pilot's fault. Okay, the pilot, they tried to find things about the pilot. Now they may fabricate a story. You can believe that if you want. I don't believe that. I don't see the pilot had bad intent to hurt Kobe and in the process kill himself. Like, hello, come on, get real. That just is not happening here. Kobe was on the verge of a lot of different projects, expanding his horizons, expanding consciousness, just like Nipsey Hussle was, just like a lot of the, influencers that are African American, that are strong black men in the community. And we see a lot of this demise. You hardly ever hear of a white person, and I'm not trying to turn this into a race game, but it is what it is. You never hear of a white NBA or football player dying in a plane crash. Like, that just doesn't happen. And a lot of people are like, well, why did they choose to fly? Why did they choose to fly? All I can tell you is that Kobe was Kobe, and nobody could tell him anything. And if he wanted to go, he was going to go. And that's what I feel like. There was also some secrets around their love life. Like, not everything was perfect. But out of respect to his children who are living and his wife, I'm very limited on what I can say. But I can tell you that there was definitely heartbreak. There was definitely something going on in that dynamic. A lot of darkness, a lot of devil energy surrounding Kobe, wanting to take him out. What I get told is that those same people that had a hand at manipulating the engine and causing this helicopter to go down and crash were part of the same people, this dark energy from the past life that killed him and Gigi, and they got away with it again in this lifetime. It's like karmically this whole cycle repeats itself. It repeats itself, but I do feel like, again, justice will be served, and eventually that person, those people that did this, again, I feel like would have been a white person, at least one white person, but I get three for some reason, three people. They are going to face their karma in this lifetime, and it's going to haunt them. I feel like Gigi is safe, and so is Kobe, and they are in heaven, and they're safe. They're not earthbound. They were earthbound. Immediately, what I couldn't talk about, because they didn't want me to talk about it, and I have to respect their souls and my spirit guides when they don't want me to talk about it, was a scene that I saw immediately when I was doing after the reading and all that. I kept seeing visions of them walking hand in hand, and they were at the plane crash site. This is why it was so important for Vanessa to go to that plane crash site, or helicopter crash site. I keep saying plane, to be there to see, because they needed to see her. And on some level, she has had dreams about them. She has communicated with them, and this is not a joke. It's very real. Their souls have told her that they are okay, and she's comforted by that. Vanessa was innocent in all of this. I don't feel like she had any hand at all. People came for her, accused her in some kind of way. I don't feel that. I feel like Kobe was Kobe. He, whatever he did in his personal life, his marital life, that's for them. I'm not going to go into that, other than the fact that I do feel like there was heartbreak around that. And there was another woman involved. But I do get, that there would have been some kind of affair. And I'm just going to say that. This is so heavy, the energy. But what I get is that moments leading up to this airplane thing, the pilot lost control of the engine. He knew that it was falling. There was nothing that he could have done to prevent this accident. And, or this, I call it an accident because it was very much an accident. The helicopter crash, but it wasn't really a helicopter crash. It was sabotage. They were taken out. This was cold-blooded murder, and people still are going to cover it up and call us conspiracy theorists and whatnot, but nobody to this day believes that engine failed by itself. Okay, the engine did not, nobody believes that they just lost control, or that it was foggy and they just went into a mountain and hit it. The fact of the matter is that there was engine problems, and nobody believes a lot of the other stories that they are making up or fabricating to cover all this up. And I get that on some level, one of his other daughters is going to, I don't know if she's going to get into sports or the NBA, kind of like getting into basketball. But one of his daughters is going to eventually go into that. The one of the daughters that is living. I get that. They didn't want Kobe, the dark ones, didn't want him to spread his light here on Earth, but they also didn't want him to have money, because money, he was able to do a lot with his power, his position. With money, he was able to help a lot of people and bring light to other people. And darkness didn't want that. The darkness, the devil energy didn't want that. They didn't want him to be successful in spreading the light and spreading the message. But it backfired in the grand scheme of things, in the balance of the cosmos, because of the fact that even though he is passed, and him and Gigi are passed, and even though this is a very tragic passing, the fact of the matter is that people, millions of people around the world, have mourned his loss, but they also are very inspired by these two. And it's made them look at their own families, and it's made people more aware of, flying and the dangers of flying, in foggy conditions. And in some ways it has set up the bar, to have pilots tested, to have planes checked, and not to fly in foggy conditions, even though that's not the cause of the crash. And on some deep level as well, it's made people realize that life is too short to just be here on Earth and not celebrate. Because when I tune in, what Gigi is telling me and what Kobe is telling me is that they both, on some way, they are not going to relive this when they reincarnate, and they are going to reincarnate. And Gigi is going to reincarnate somewhere within the family, the family that she was born. So I kind of feel like one of Kobe's daughters, when they get older, are going to actually give birth to both Gigi and Kobe. Okay? Their souls are coming back. They're coming back. That's definite. That is definite that they're coming back. And I feel like they are coming back, but this time they're going to be protected, and they will get to carry out their life purpose on so many levels and continue to help people. But I don't feel like it's going to be in the same capacity or in the same in the same manner. Like, what I mean by that is that I don't feel like Kobe, when he is reincarnated, that he's going to be coming back as an NBA player, right? He's going to be having a different type of position and platform. And I feel like it very much could be the singer, because it makes sense. He had a very strong passion for music. And even though he was, he had some, he did a couple of things in the music industry. I'm not familiar with what he did. That was one of his life career paths that he could ideally have gone into and made it a very successful career, but he chose not to, and to go into the NBA more, and was very successful with that. But the fact is that a lot of people don't realize that we can have more than two career paths in this lifetime. And when Gigi reincarnates, I feel like she is going to go through with the nursing, like she would have carried out if she would have been alive. And that's what I get. I get that they are both okay. They're both in peace. They don't want anyone to be upset or angry at the fact that that we've lost them, because she says, we continue to live in the hearts of many out there, and all of them that support us. And they keep showing me that the color pink. So the pink color has like a very special meaning for Gigi. I don't know why it would have a special meaning in the spirit world. And for Kobe, the color is green. And that's what I see. The color is green. There's going to be a lot of challenges up ahead for the existing family members, like Vanessa and the actual children that are alive. There's going to still be a lot of hurdles and battles and things that they're going to face, because there's still a lot of darkness. But I feel like Kobe is waiting to reincarnate until the girls get to a certain age, and so is Gigi, because right now they are in the spirit world and they are protecting Vanessa, and they are protecting the girls that are alive, his children. They are protecting them, and that's their service and their purpose on the other side right now. But I do feel like when I see him in a past life, I'm going back to that because I keep seeing him. I see him as this old white man that's bald, has a long white beard, and a long white hair, and he was dressed in a robe. And I see Gigi again. I see her, but she's not coming through very clear on the past life on how she would have looked. But I do get a lot of the other visions and stuff that I explained that I saw, like them being murdered in the past life, and fleeing, and kind of like not having peace in that past life. And those dark souls that did that to them there again came into this lifetime, and there was a lot of hate and a lot of stalking. That's what Kobe keeps saying, that he was stalked, that there was the people that took him out, the people that did this, that there was a lot of stalking that was going on. So he would have had someone watching his every move and knew more or less what he was going to do and when it was the perfect timing to do that. I have to say, though, that I'm very thankful to Kobe. And if I could give him a hug today, I would, if he was around, because it was that reading that I did for him that he told me. And that was the message that I'm not going to say he, but his spirit guides told me, which is part of him, to not fly this year, and that this year was going to be a very bad time to fly. He wouldn't recommend it, and I didn't understand why he was saying this. And then again, a lot of my rays of light, a lot of you out there that are listening and that are supporters of my channel and whatnot, I'm just so grateful to you. A lot of you put it together. That's what Kobe meant. That's what spirit meant, not to fly, because again, through his passing, look at the timeline and the events. That was what was it, in March or February? It was around that time frame whenever I did the reading, whenever he passed. It was a very shortly after that, then the COVID-19, the coronavirus, was the biggest thing. And shortly after that, then people were still traveling, vacationing like nothing, and then boom, it was like a pandemic. And then all of a sudden, everybody stopped flying, and internationally as well. That's why I say spirit is so great, and that regardless of how much time has passed, that one of these souls has passed, it's always possible for us to learn from them. And he was warning us. He was warning me and giving me the message. I'm just the messenger to give to you guys so that you would be aware of what was going to happen. And that's the insight. And this is stuff that we cannot make up. This is the things that you cannot make up from spirit in the afterlife, and how real the afterlife is with us, and that our loved ones are always with us. And even if you can't see them and you can't hear them, just like we believe in God and that God exists in this world and that angels exist and that the devil exists, even though we cannot always see them, we still believe in them. I always believe, and I will continue to believe, in the power of spirit and souls. And I believe in Kobe, and I believe in Gigi, and I believe that they are okay and they're happy on the other side. And they want you guys to be happy, and they want you to remember their smiles, their presence, the happiness that they both shared. Because again, they're coming back. They're coming back. That's what I feel. And that's what I get. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, to listen to the messages that were channeled, to listen to everything that, I do. Again, your support is immeasurable, and there's no words to express it. I am eternally grateful to all of my rays of light, to all of you out there who may be new subscribers to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of the video, as well as a notification icon to all. That way you can be notified of all notifications and etc. I hope you enjoyed this. Big angel hugs to each and every one of you. Stay strong, stay positive, like, share, comment, subscribe. Blessings and love and light. Until next time, guys. Bye.